Hi, good evening. How y'all doing? Um, I am going to read from Second Chronicles, and this evening, and I hope y'all are doing good. I am, and hope this blesses y'all as I know it will bless me. So, Second Chronicles, chapter 35, verse 1. Moreover, Joseph kept a Passover unto the Lord in Jerusalem, and they killed a Passover on the 14th day in the first month, and he set the priests in their charges and encouraged them unto the service of the house of the Lord, and said unto the Levites that taught all Israel which were holy unto the Lord, put the holy ark in the house which Solomon the son of David king of Israel did build. It shall not be burdened upon your shoulders. Serve now the Lord your God and his people Israel, and prepare yourself by the house of your fathers, and after your course is according to the writing of David king of Israel, and according to the writing of Solomon his son, and stand in the holy place according to the divisions of the families of the fathers of your brethren, the people, and after the division of the families of Levites. So kill the Passover, and sanctify yourselves, and prepare your brethren, that they may be according to the word of the Lord by the hand of Moses. And Joseph gave the people of the flock lambs and kids, and all for the Passover offerings, for all they were present, to the number of 30,000, and 3,000 bullocks. These were of the king's substance. And his princes gave willingly unto the people, to the priests, and to the Levites. Hilkiah and Zechariah and Jehiah, rulers of the house of God, gave unto the priests for the Passover offerings 2,600 small cattle and 300 oxen. Koneiah, also the Shemaiah, the Nethanel, his brethren, and Hashbariah, and Joel, and Jozabad, chief of the Levites, gave unto the Levites for Passover offerings 5,000 small cattle and 500 oxen. I'm not good at pronouncing some of these names and words. If you watch some of my earlier videos, difficult pronouncing these words, and so just letting you know that. As you probably can see, verse 10. So the service was prepared, and the priests stood in their place, and the Levites in their courses according to the king's commandment. And they killed the Passover, and the priests sprinkled the blood from the hands, and the Levites flayed them. And like I said, difficult to pronounce, but I love reading the Bible, so I'm not going to let that keep me from reading the Bible. So, verse 11. And they killed the Passover, and the priests sprinkled the blood from the hands, and the Levites flayed them. And they removed the burnt offerings, that they might give according to the divisions of the families of the people to offer unto the Lord, as it is written in the book of Moses. And so did they with the oxen. And they roasted the Passover with fire, according to the ordinance. But the other holy offerings sawed they in pots and the cauldrons and in pans, and divided them speedily among all the people. And afterward they made ready for themselves and for the priests, because the priests, the sons of Aaron, were busied in offering of burnt offerings and the fat until night. Therefore the Levites prepared for themselves and for the priests, the sons of Aaron. And the singers and the sons of the Asaph were in their place according to the commandment of David, and Asaph and Heman and Jeduthun and the king's seer, and the porters waited at every gate, and might not depart from the service, for their brethren the Levites prepared for them. So all the service of the Lord was prepared the same day, to keep the Passover and to offer burnt offerings upon the altar of the Lord, according to the commandment of King of Joshua. And the children of Israel that were present kept the Passover at a time, and the feast of unleavened bread 7 days. And there was no Passover like to that kept in Israel from the days of Samuel the prophet, neither did all the things of Israel kept such a Passover as Joshua kept, and the priests and the Levites and all the Judah and Israel that were present and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. In the 18th year of the reign of Joseph was the Passover kept. And after all this, when Joseph had prepared the temple, Necho, king of Egypt, came up to fight against Cherishism by Euphrates, and Joseph went out against him. But he sent ambassadors to him, saying, What have I to do with thee, thou king of Judah? I come not against thee this day, but against the house wherewith I have war. For God commanded me to make haste, forbear thee from melding with God who is with me, that he destroy thee not. Nevertheless, Joseph would not turn his face with him, but disguised himself that he might fight with him, and hearkened not unto the words of Necho from the mouth of God, and came to fight in the valley of Megiddo. And the archers shot at King Joseph, and the king said to his servants, Have me away, for I am sore wounded. His servants therefore took him out of the chariot, and put him in the second chariot that he had, and they brought him to Jerusalem. And he died and was buried in one of the sepulchres of his father. And all Judah and Jerusalem mourned for Joshua. And Jeremiah lamented for Joseph, and all the singing men and singing women spake of Joshua and their lamentations to this day, and made them an ordinance in Israel. And behold, they are written in the lamentations. Now the rest of the acts of Joshua and his goodness, according to that which was written in the law of the Lord. Verse 24 again. His servants therefore took him out of the chariot, and put him in the second chariot that he had, and they brought him to Jerusalem, and he died and was buried in one of the sepulchres of his fathers. And all Judea and Jerusalem mourned for Joshua. Wow. And Jeremiah lamented his Joshua, and all the singing men and singing women spake of Joshua and their lamentations to this day, and made them an ordinance in Israel. And behold, they are written in the lamentations. Wow. Now the rest of the acts of Joshua and his goodness, according to that which was written in the law of the Lord. And his deeds, first and last, behold, they are written in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah. Wow. Chapter 36, verse 1. Then the people of the land took Jehoahaz, the son of Josiah, and made him king in his father's stead in Jerusalem. And Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem. And the king of Egypt put him down at Jerusalem, and condemned the land in 100 talents of silver and talent gold. And the king of Egypt made Eliakim his brother king over Judah and Jerusalem, and turned his name to Jehoiakim. And Necho took Jehoahaz his brother and carried him to Egypt. And Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began to reign. He reigned 11 years in Jerusalem, and he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord his God. Wow. Against him came up Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and bound him in fetters to carry him to Babylon. I was reading through this Chronicles. I'm not done yet, but reading the Chronicles, it's like the next, person comes, the king, and they go and does evil. It always goes downhill. And the son, the one that comes after the father, he's the first, and if he does evil, it's constantly, over and over, and see who wins always at the end of every time. And it seemed like today's life, I can't say much because us and everybody, I've sinned and y'all sinned and done something, and just that we stay what the Lord tells us, and if we stay on that path, overall, it's the right way to go. And I unfortunately go off that path sometimes too, but this is a prime example from reading this, and so where was I? Joahaz was 23 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem. That is chapter 36, verse 2. And the king of Egypt put him down at Jerusalem, and he condemned the land in 100 talents of silver and talent of gold. And the king of Egypt made Eliakim his brother king of Judah and Jerusalem, and turned his name to Joachim. And Necho took Jehoahaz his brother and carried him to Egypt. And Joachim was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem, and he did that which is evil in the sight of the Lord. Evil. And against him came up Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and bound him in fetters to carry him to Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar also carried of the vessels of the house of the Lord to Babylon, and put them in the temple at Babylon. Now the rest of the acts of Joachim and his abominations which he did, and that which was found in him, behold, they are written in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah. And Joachim his son reigned in his stead. And Joachim was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months and 10 days in Jerusalem, and he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. So there's another one that did evil. And when the year was expired, King Nebuchadnezzar sent and brought him to Babylon with the goodly vessels of the house of the Lord, and made Zedekiah his brother king over Judah and Jerusalem. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord his God, and humbled not himself before Jeremiah, the prophet speaking from the mouth of the Lord. And he also rebelled against King Nebuchadnezzar, who had made him swear by God, but he stiffened his neck and hardened his heart from turning unto the Lord God of Israel. Moreover, all the chief of the priests and the people transgressed very much after all the abominations of the heathen, and polluted the house of the Lord which he had allowed in Jerusalem. The Lord God of our fathers sent to them by his messengers, rising up betimes and sitting, because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. But they mocked the messengers of God, and despised his words, and misused his prophets, until the wrath of the Lord arose against his people, till there was no remedy. Therefore he brought up upon them the king of the Chaldees, who slew their young men with the sword in the house of the sanctuary, and had no compassion upon young men, or maiden, old man, or him that stood for age. He gave them all into his hand, and all the vessels of the house of God, great and small, and the treasures of the house of the Lord, and the treasures of the king and his princesses. All these he brought to Babylon, and they burnt the house of God, and brake down the wall of Jerusalem, and burnt all the palaces thereof with fire, and destroyed all the goodly vessels thereof. And them that had escaped from the sword carried he away to Babylon, where they were servants to him and his sons until the reign of the kingdom of Persia, to fill the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah, until the land enjoy her Sabbaths. For as long as she lay desolate, she kept Sabbath, to fulfill 70 years. Now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord spoken by the mouth of Jeremiah might be accomplished, the Lord stirreth up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom, and put it also in writing, saying, Thus says Cyrus, king of Persia, all the kingdoms of the earth had the Lord God of heaven given me, and he hath charged me to build him an house in Jerusalem, which is in Judah. Who is there among you of all his people? The Lord his God be with him, and let him go up. Wow. Second Chronicles, amazing. And I read chapter 35 and chapter 36. And hope this bless y'all as I know it blessed me. And y'all have a blessed evening.